I was going to make a video a while back about trees and where all the giant trees. I know I did one and I did on the mesas, the plateaus, that they were possibly trees, but I'm just going over Google Maps right now. I'm in Canada and I was looking just for something that I ran across on maps earlier today, and I ran across this. And I thought that was rather fascinating because it is believed that this is what I was trying to find. These things. They're all over this area. They try to cover them up and stuff. I don't know. Like, is this all just the way that they're tilling the land? Is that what we're seeing? But this is a massive. I see these all the time. They look like a radar, screen. And then this line that goes down. Let's see if we can get closer into that. I know you probably, as a farmer, you might even know exactly what this is. And it may just be a field, but they're littered. So that's what I wanted to look at. It may be just so simple. But what I found was, when I was looking, was these. Which I think are very interesting. Now I can't even find it again, but this is one. Either a tree or just, I know it would be a mountains, because we're looking at the foothills right now, by the Rocky Mountains. That's where we are. Just interesting, I think. Oh, there it is, right above it. It's interesting. It's hard to tell, from here. It's just interesting how the formation happens in patterns, of mountains or foothills. Like, what is this? This is like a mountain. Like, how did it develop? If you're looking at the old way, it's just everything pushing because it comes in, and you get one that looks like a stump and one that could possibly be a leaf in looking. And you even got the ridges and stuff. And look at this one too. That could be an elephant almost, but I'm doing a pareidolia. Obviously, it's not. But yes, I have free time on my hands. So it just depends on who you're talking to. Some believe like a ridge like this would have been melted buildings, and that this whole area would be melted buildings. I remember seeing on a map, my husband's calling in the dog, on a map once, one of those old maps, and I tried to find it and I can't find it again. And it said, look at these, that Alberta, Canada, was the land of the giants, and that most people didn't go there because it was dangerous. You probably never came back if you ever went there. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. This is like the foothills. Does not look like roots from a tree or a plant, but these are what I'm talking about, and the size of them, and getting close. They all have this same kind of pattern. Now, could they be fields? This is foothill land, and yes, there is some. You got greeneries here, so maybe they are just fields. Maybe I'm just. I mean, there's a field there, so here's the town. So I mean, they could be, but a very interesting way of farming if that's the case. Very interesting way of farming. Let's see this. It's the road that they cut across. Like, this is not even land, so maybe that's why. I don't know. You can see them all over. Anybody who knows what they are? If they're a form of agriculture? Which it does look like it, and if it is, it's just like crazy beautiful. Yeah, look. You can see he's doing the fields there. Ah, it's just crazy beautiful. Yeah. Let's see what else we can find. So we know what that is. Kind of does look like that, but I'm going to show you another place where it's just wildly amount of these. I think it must be a farming technique, so I'm going to say that's what it is. It's just not a farming technique that we have here where I live. You know, we don't have anything. Look at this too. Like, how could that be? Looks like it's really rocky. And then the different colors, but with Google Maps, you don't know. They piece them together, right? Interesting anyways. Like, it's just something I never came across before. I never saw all of this stuff like that. If you guys know what they are, like, maybe there's like a certain type of a... it's strange. I've never seen it. And then here, why would they do this here and have the river and still continue with the circle? Yeah. And has that. It's just crazy. Look at this one. Are we looking at crop circles? Did somebody do this? Like, honestly, what is this? Somebody's field? Like, they have time to do that? That's wild. And then it goes into different types of shapes. That's wild. You know, I have seen farmers do some interesting stuff, but I've honestly never seen this. This is really, I mean, I live in farming community, so, you know, I mean, this is typical farming community, and sometimes they'll do some designs on it, you know, like they'll try doing stuff like this. But they don't like this. It looks like the old TV stations. And what would be the purpose of continuing with this, but yet to do all of this? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know. My husband's, he was raised on a farm, and he's looked at these things, and he first thing he said to me is, "What are they?" I like this. It's just odd. You really find a lot of oddities when you start looking at Google Maps in the country. Whether it's the farmers that are doing this, but every single inch of the country, every place you go is marked up in some form. It's quite astonishing. Look, some mounds. I can imagine. You know, you're not allowed to do anything. You're not allowed to dig in anything ever anywhere anymore. You can't go and look at in the foothills. I think the foothills is probably full of treasures of some sort whatsoever. Probably is all just, I don't know. There's so many different theories. I know that there is the one where there are buildings, and you see that where, you know, in the hoodoos, like in Drumheller, or just all over, they carved out and opened up and have windows and stuff, and they've gone in and taken out whatever treasure was in them. Just wonder what I'm looking at. It makes a better evening than sitting in front of the TV, at least for me, because sitting in front of the TV and watching, even if it's a great YouTube channel, it's somebody else's creative juices flowing, not mine. Now I'm further back in Alberta, going real north, and you get a lot of landscape like this. It just looks like ruined, a scraped. I mean, there's lots of trees and stuff like that. Oh, there we go. See, it's like something was dragged along here. And as you go further, well, we know it's more north, but it just gets more and more and more. That's the way Canada goes. It's just really uninhabitable. And if it was the land of the giants, maybe this was really heavy hit. You know? What's there? Just too much scraped up. Nothing. Like, as you can see, there's no farms or anything here. There's no life in this part. It's just this. Just nothing. Goes on forever. Like that. And then until you get into, see? That whole area is like that. It's huge. It's just really damaged earth, really scraped up earth. Something really traumatic happened to this part of the world. And here's where I live, right in here. And it gets pretty interesting too when you start looking out over here. Doesn't it look like we're looking under a microscope? You know, the landscape around in some of the parts. It's pretty. I mean, it's probably all fields and stuff like that here in Alberta. We are the prairies, but even from the map, it just, you know, the flatness of it and stuff like that. It's like it was just scraped. It has such a pitted, scraped look to it. I don't know. That's just the way I see it. You know, a couple of weird things have happened recently, and you also get these lines too, which is really interesting throughout all the trees. It's not just where the see, like this, where people are living or anything. Like, they're just the lines that go everywhere. But they don't go as much over here because it's like the lines were scraped off of this area. It's the only way I can describe it. Because when you're looking at it, I know a lot of this is fields and we're growing. But when you start to look at the under of it, it really doesn't look good. So Flat Earth Britain Golden Age past, he said that he can't wait until he can crack open some rocks in the spring and show us how to look for precious stones and gold. And which actually, look at this, which actually would have it. You know, which stones would have it, so we can actually. Do you think the farmer did this? Maybe. I'm looking forward to that when he goes through that stuff. Interesting. Even the little river. Like, why does a river snake around like that? That doesn't make sense. This looks like a vein. That's what it looks like. It looks like a varicose vein. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. I mean, obviously I am wrong. What's this? This is gone. River. Did somebody like use a pen and start just doodling? Like, why would it cut through like that? And then even in here, it's very interesting. It's like it's a snake. This one looks like it's some form of a dragon. Yeah, rivers are really interesting. Although I can't look at big bodies of water, there's just something about, see the scraping? This is when this happens. You see a lot of this. Oh, you know, that's probably what I'm seeing. I'm thinking that maybe they took a picture after they've done their fields, and that's just hay. That could be. That could be, because you do see that. And they just haven't picked them up. Although they don't usually do that, to be honest. They don't do that. They'll do one row, but they have a guy coming behind it with a combine, like with the guy that pours it into the truck. They usually don't leave it, but I have seen that. It's not like it doesn't happen. I do live in a farming community. I am not a farmer. I have chickens, and that's about it. And dogs. I got a dog now. And look at that. It's like a tree. Interesting. And I've got a cat. And I've got chickens. And I got a husband. And I got a nephew that lives with us now, who had his operation. We were able to get there. And by the time that he had his operation, when he did it, I had told this story to somebody else. So some of you guys might know about this and you're wondering. So at the time that I did the operation, when I asked for prayers, the doctors had told him that he had like 2 to 3 months left on his battery, on his pacemaker. And, but his heart was so weak it could not beat by itself. So we were waiting impatiently for a hospital bed. But because of all of this insanity that's going on, they wanted to, they've laid off all the doctors and stuff like that. So they don't have that many people working. And so it took quite a while to get it, but I asked for prayers, and they were praying for healing as well. So by the time that he went and did have the operation, they said his heart was a lot better, a lot stronger than they thought it was. So thank you, people. Prayers work. They really work. Like, you just don't know how much. If you think that maybe you're not getting better and people have been praying for you, maybe you just don't know how sick you were. And also, too, belief is part of it, although he didn't know that he was being prayed for, but I did. And I had full belief in you guys, and I had full belief in God that he will answer prayers, and I believe that he did. So now it's a week out of surgery, and he's here, and he's going to be staying here, and we'll be helping him out as much as we can help out, as much as we can help him out. As what family should do. It is nothing special. It's what we do. So again, the lines. These are the lines that, I can't remember. There's this one lady that is, seems to be getting famous over because she found, everybody knew these were here, so I don't know what that is all about, but she's got a pretty good YouTube channel, so maybe that's why, I don't know. But it was these lines that are all over. They're everywhere. It doesn't matter. There you go. That's a good one. As you can see, they're not attached to a road. That one might be a road. But they're not. These are just lines that get cut through, see? They're just everywhere. Unless you get to the areas where it's been totally scraped. And then you get a lot of these. Now somebody's probably going to tell me what they are, but where I am, there's so many of them, it's just crazy. Look at this. The lines are everywhere. Just, it's interesting. And then they start like the cross lines. Oh, here we're going where they don't want us to see whatever is probably going on over there. Locked it out. You got it, but not the full. You don't get the, it's probably more. I don't know why they do that. Honestly, I have no clue. My house has that as well. And I get pretty bad. Oh, look at this jet skier. I get pretty bad reception because of it. See, like places like this is, I betcha, like all the hills and stuff. I wonder what's under there. You know, when you see something like that, there's something under these places when you see that. Anyways, maybe you guys are getting bored now. And I wouldn't blame me if you do, if you are. Yeah, look at that. I was watching a video today and they called it Dragon's Rotting Corpse, I think it was. I can't remember the name of your YouTube channel, of the YouTube channel. But I like the way she said that, just in plain sight. Just rotting there in plain sight. And we just don't know what we're looking at, do we? We don't know what we're looking at. Just very interesting. Just very interesting. Even the way things are displayed. Isn't that cool? Like all these different formations. It's like sea creatures. Yeah. The world is a lot. I cannot go near bodies of water, so we'll stick away from that. I don't know what that's about. I have no clue. I have tried to overcome it and have been unable to. So I do not look on Google Maps or anything in the water because I'll have to turn it off. It's kind of crazy. And you know what's really even crazy? I'd say that was a dinosaur splatted on the ground that fell down. No, is my daughter has the same phobia. So what's up with that? Does anybody else? I've asked other in different chats. Has anybody, like, they all like, dude, everybody thinks I'm half crazy. I have no clue what it's about. I have no clue and why it is, but we will stay away from water. Here you go with these things. Looks like somebody's piling up. Firewood, I'm not sure. And the square. I used to think we did all of this. And especially when you get into, when you're looking at the maps and there's no town or anything like that and it all looks like a subdivision. Oh, there's a lot of those. Just all over the place. You'll get like a subdivision, but nobody's living there. There's no subdivision, but it's cut out as a subdivision. Have you guys ever looked at the prairies? See the lines? Just everywhere. Just go. They just go everywhere. It is neat how farmers do things, like the choices that they make, but I'm assuming that is, because you'll see like the turnaround. Look at this. You can see where they've done their combine and turned it around and stuff. So yeah, that's them. They're just getting creative. I love the ones that do that. Sometimes it's just magnificent. At fall time, the fields, some just are artists and they just don't do it in a crappy way. They do it as the most beautiful way, and I really should be photographing it. This is a very interesting field. Look at this one. Now, I don't think that, wow, I don't think a farmer did that. I can't imagine a farmer would have been able to do that, but then that is so cool. That's one of those ones, right? That you just don't know. Or he's just so creative. You get these really super, super creative people, and they get behind a combine, and they really get creative. I have no clue what that is. And they really just like put their art on canvas. And so, like this is art on canvas. They just, it's like, you like me, look at this. This is not, this is something different. My husband mows the lawn, and by the time he's mowed the lawn, he has done the most incredible things to the lawn, and it just should be that way. That's the way he thinks. Me, it gets done. I don't have it. But is this just a field for? Oh, that is so bizarre. That one is a very interesting. I'd like to have somebody say to me, yeah, Karen, put this one on YouTube. Since I'm really just talking to a microphone. Oh, look at this up here. These ridges, see that? That's inside there. That looks like a ribs. Whatever it is, that's very interesting. See here too? And there's striations of it. Look at the trees. Oh, that is so pretty. So interesting. If you are me, and if you're still listening, then you find this stuff interesting too. Look at that lake. That's an odd lake. What's all this? Algae or something? Rusty. What's this thing? Oh, just a bunch of tall trees. Nothing more than that. Well, I think I've actually showed you enough of the countryside where I live. I kind of like, look at this. Look at that one's really, really interesting. I like sticking close to my area because, everybody goes everywhere else. Nobody's interested where I live. Subdivisions or something. Trailers. Interesting. You start to see what's going on outside too. By doing this, see what the government's doing in your area. I think that's really important sometimes to see where they've got their bases. All right, I was going to tell this one story. I think I told you guys about the house down the road that just spontaneously burst into flames. And that was back, I think, September or so last year. Well, a couple of weeks ago, it was the a couple of weeks, or actually it's longer than that. My dog is barking because the guys are making a lot of noise in the garage. They're watching a game. Anyways, a couple of weeks ago, my our pole for our electricity burst in flames. Just I go out, I look out the window and I see the fire of the pole. It's on the top, so it must have been the transformer on it. And this was the same day that in the United States there was a whole bunch of transformers that blew. So I don't know if it was just coincidence, but it really was odd. It happened, and they actually had it was 2 houses. We were the ones who put those poles in. We put in 2 poles to come into our house 12 years ago when we moved here because we built our house. And so we know how old they are. They're 12 years old. Well, we didn't put them in. We paid for them to be put in. And so it took out just our house and the one right before us. And they had the crew, which is so odd. It was on a Sunday night, which usually you're, well, sorry, and it wasn't really all that cold. But they had it. They had a crew in here. They replaced the pole. They did the whole thing within like 4 hours. It was quite amazing considering, how weird everything is. Rad. It must be a type of a field. Anyways, I think I'm going to let you guys go because I am losing my throat. My voice is starting to go on me. I love y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Just a little bit to take away some of what's going on around the world. And yeah, I love y'all. Stay close to Jesus. Live and love and light. Talk to you later.